Bug. I'm so terrified of bugs. It took me so long to even throw this bowl away because I was terrified to touch it.
Supermarkets were supposed to be the last safe place. A clean cart, a quick stop, and dinner solved. But what if behind the polished produce and smiling cashiers lurk violations so dangerous they could land you in a hospital? In the past 2 years alone, over 70% of all FDA recalls for meat and frozen food came from trusted grocery chains, not sketchy roadside vendors. The same stores where retirees buy turkey for Sunday dinner and grandparents pick up frozen meals for the week are the ones hiding bacteria-laced chicken, rodent droppings behind deli counters, and mislabeled mystery meat sold as premium cuts. Why are elderly shoppers, those with the weakest immune systems and the fewest options, being served the most rotten deal? The deeper we dig, the more it stinks. Are you still trusting the fridge aisle without reading the fine print? Could your favorite store be gambling with your health just to save a buck? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. And today, we're opening the freezer door on a chilling investigation about disgusting secrets inside 7 of America's biggest grocery chains. Number 1. Walmart. What if the store you trust the most is quietly gambling with your health and doesn't even blink when you lose? Not a bug in the lettuce or a dented can in aisle 7, but a deep, calculated rot baked into every corner of the operation. You don't see it because it's dressed in rollback signs. But it's there. It sits behind the freezer doors, leaks through the meat section, and waits for you at checkout. And if you're someone who spent decades trying to stretch every dollar retired, working class, disabled, this isn't just a store scandal. It's a punch in the gut. Walmart once felt like the answer. One stop, one receipt. Enough left over for gas. Groceries didn't need to be gourmet, they just needed to be real. But the same chain that built its empire on save money, live better, has turned that slogan inside out. It's now save money, risk everything, and the longer you look, the uglier it gets. In 2023, a joint probe by NBC and Food and Water Watch uncovered over 230 cases of decaying, expired food displayed like it was any other product. They inspected stores in Texas, Florida, and Ohio, but this wasn't a regional issue. It was baked-in policy rot. Ground beef turning brown, chicken packages leaking pink fluid, dairy products fizzing and curdling in warm refrigerators. A Georgia shopper returned a chicken pack bleeding into the plastic, only to be told, "The freezer's just tired today." That's not customer service, that's a comedy sketch written by bacteria. But the thermometer tells the real horror story. USDA inspections showed Walmart coolers hitting 44 to 47 degrees Fahrenheit, well above the 40-degree safety line. That's not a small slip. That's a breeding ground. A steak left in those temperatures isn't dinner. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And still, the worst is what you never see. Several former Walmart employees, especially from meat and prep departments, came forward in 2024 revealing a system of rewrapping expired meat, giving it a rinse and a new label before tossing it back onto shelves. They called it zombie meat, revived just long enough to pass your shopping cart. One internal memo even bragged that meat could be sold up to 72 hours after its sell-by, if it passed visual inspection. So now your health depends on whether a tired stalker thinks your chicken looks okay under fluorescent light, and while you squint at the label hoping for clarity. Deception is baked right into the ink. That 100% Angus beef burger, often barely 50% beef. The rest soy fillers and cheap textured vegetable protein, according to a 2023 expose by The Counter, for anyone on a tight income and poor vision. This isn't misinformation. It's a trap disguised as savings. It doesn't stop there. The same stores facing meat recalls and temperature violations are often under legal fire for workplace abuses. Staff cleaning raw meat leaks with the same mops used in bathrooms. Reports of unpaid breaks, forced overtime, and zero food safety training when complaints were made. One Arizona manager said they were told to keep costs in mind, a gentle way of saying, shut up or lose your job. And yet, where else are folks supposed to go? Walmart isn't popular, it's unavoidable in some towns. It's the only show in town, like a dusty old saloon with rotten whiskey, but no other bar for miles. But some smaller chains haven't lost their minds or their morals. Market Basket up in the Northeast still inspects their meat daily and refuses to repackage old product. Brookshire's down south trains employees to toss anything even close to spoiling. They don't flash ads on every screen, but they also don't serve up spoiled chicken and call it a deal. At Walmart, the real price isn't printed on the receipt, it's what ends up in your fridge, your stomach, and your hospital bill. And the scariest part, you never even knew you were paying. Number 2, Kroger. You thought you were trading up, just a notch above Walmart cleaner floors, better lighting, fewer screaming toddlers per aisle. Kroger felt like the grown-up supermarket. You didn't go there for fancy organic chia powder or truffle oil, just reliable groceries with that faint whiff of respectability. Even the name had a comforting ring, like it belonged in a black and white photo of American prosperity. You imagine someone's gentle Aunt Carol stocking produce with pride. But behind those polished aisles and smiling baggers lies a reality as sour as curdled cream. Because while Kroger advertises itself as fresh for everyone, what they really mean is fresh enough until you check the fine print. And for older shoppers whose health depends on what they can afford and who often take a label at its word, that fine print can hide a truckload of deceit. Let's crack open the cooler first. In October of 2023, CBS News and the Center for Food Integrity revealed that Kroger's own distribution centers in places like Cincinnati, Denver, and Atlanta had been storing meats and dairy at dangerously unstable temperatures, some climbing as high as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Employees were reportedly told to ignore the gauges and keep shipments rolling to avoid delays. Translation: your shrimp cocktail may have taken a sweaty road trip through bacterial wonderland before it ever reached your cart. And this wasn't just backroom chaos. Inside the stores themselves, food inspectors in multiple states found mold in deli slicers, slime coating containers, and raw chicken dripping onto ready-to-eat trays. In Houston, shoppers reported a rancid smell near the meat section, but staff left it there for over 12 hours until corporate gave the go-ahead to toss it. Since when does a meat thermometer have to wait for a boardroom memo? But the rot isn't just physical, it's moral. Kroger, along with its family of chains like Fred Meyer and King Soopers, has been repeatedly caught dressing up processed, pre-frozen, or chemically treated foods in shiny, natural, or fresh packaging. A 2022 lawsuit claimed Kroger knowingly slapped antibiotic-free and pasture-raised labels on beef that came from confined feedlots pumped full of medication. If you're choosing between 2 burger packs on a fixed income, that simple truth label isn't a marketing detail, it's a lifeline of trust. And Kroger twisted it into a trick. Now zoom out a little. Where does your frozen shrimp really come from? In both 2021 and 2023, labor rights groups exposed that Kroger was sourcing seafood from suppliers in Thailand and Vietnam tied to forced labor. Workers denied bathroom breaks, paid less than a living wage, forced to work with chemical agents without protection. So when you pick up that bag of frozen shrimp in Kentucky, you're not just buying dinner, you're accidentally endorsing modern slavery. And Kroger knew it. And just when shoppers needed help the most, during the crushing inflation wave of 2022, Kroger didn't step up, they cashed in. While shoppers were cutting coupons and praying eggs didn't jump another dollar, Kroger raised prices on milk, bread, and basics by double digits. Meanwhile, their CEO was cashing checks topping $18 million. When a grocery chain sees your struggle and sees dollar signs, that's not capitalism. That's cold-blooded. Somewhere along the way, Kroger stopped being your neighborhood grocer and became just another machine that eats trust and spits out quarterly reports. But you don't have to play along. Fresh Time Market, a smaller chain, posts sourcing info on every piece of meat. Winco Foods, run by the employees themselves, keeps coolers checked and shelves clean because it's their own name on the line. They don't just promise freshness, they prove it. Kroger wanted to be the face of modern American groceries. But if this is the face, then what's behind the mask? Number 3, Publix. It's hard to question the one store that always felt like home. Publix had charm down to a science the green aprons, the soft lighting, the handwritten cake messages from the bakery that made your birthday feel like a Hallmark movie. Shopping there wasn't just convenient, it was comforting. To countless families across the Southeast, Publix wasn't just another chain. It was the clean-cut neighbor who never raised his voice and always brought potato salad to the block party. But now the casserole's curdled. The neighbor's hiding something in the garage and behind that iconic slogan, "Where shopping is a pleasure," lies a very unpleasant truth. Because Publix isn't the wholesome hometown grocer it pretends to be. It's a company that's built its reputation on polished appearances and used that trust as a smokescreen for food safety violations. Deceptive marketing and political maneuvering that puts the public last. Start in the meat section, the one with smiling butchers and cheerful BOGO signs. According to inspections in 2022 and 2023, over a dozen Publix stores across Florida and Georgia were cited for severe food safety breaches. These weren't nitpicky clipboard complaints. These were raw chicken stored above salad containers with no protective layer, live insects crawling near the deli slicer, seafood coolers holding shrimp at temperatures that could incubate bacteria faster than a Florida summer picnic, and yet, everything still looked shiny under the store lights. But behind the counter, it gets worse. 2 former employees from the meat department told the Tampa Bay Times they were routinely instructed to cut off the brown edges of aging beef, slap on a new fresh sticker, and place it in buy one get one deals internally. Some employees jokingly called it BOGO beef, but for older shoppers trying to stretch their Social Security checks, it's no joke it's a dangerous game of Russian roulette with spoiled protein. Then there's Greenwise, the in-house brand, wearing a halo of organic purity. Customers are led to believe every bite is clean, safe, and responsibly sourced. But in 2022, a Greenwise shrimp pack labeled responsibly harvested was traced back to a supplier in Indonesia accused of child labor and chemical contamination. One retired veteran, relying on the brand for kidney-safe meals, ended up hospitalized from undeclared sulfites and allergy trigger never listed on the label. That's not a misstep. That's betrayal with a barcode, and it doesn't stop at food. Publix has quietly poured over $10 million into lobbying efforts to block food transparency laws. In 2023 alone, the company spent another $1 million fighting a Florida bill that would have required grocery chains to tell you exactly where your seafood and meat came from. Not because it's hard to label, but because the truth might turn your stomach before the shrimp does. The moral cracks go deeper. This is the same Publix that, in the early months of the pandemic, forbade employees from wearing masks until public outcry forced a reversal. The same Publix that banned pharmacists from giving out emergency contraception, citing company values over customer needs. And the same Publix that continues to crush union efforts and underpay food safety workers in cities where rent has tripled. So while the signs may smile and the floors may gleam, what good is a friendly cashier if the food in your bag could land you in the ER? What does family values mean if it doesn't include the families buying discount ground beef, hoping it won't make them sick? Meanwhile, chains like H-E-B in Texas are quietly doing things the right way, paying their staff fairly, training workers in sanitation, and issuing public scorecards for every food department, or Sprouts Farmers Market, where every product comes with full traceability farm name, harvest date, and no smoke or mirrors. Publix taught us to associate clean stores with clean food, but bacteria doesn't care how polite your bagger is, and if trust is the foundation of grocery shopping, then Publix just cracked the floor beneath our feet. Number 4. Dollar General. It's not a grocery store. It's a last resort. When the nearest supermarket packs up and leaves town, Dollar General moves in like a replacement limb, clumsy, cheap, but necessary for towns forgotten by big names and bypassed by fresh food trucks. Dollar General becomes the only thing between the dinner table and an empty plate, and with over 19,000 locations peppered through America's poorest zip codes, the chain presents itself as the dependable neighbor there when nobody else shows up. But what if that neighbor is feeding your family from a contaminated kitchen? This isn't just about frugal shopping anymore. It's about silent danger tucked inside a frozen dinner. In the span from 2022 to 2024, the Food and Drug Administration flagged Dollar General locations across Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio, Missouri, and beyond for some of the most shocking food safety failures in recent memory. Freezers were recorded running at 55 degrees, chicken thawed in pools of its own juice, rodents nesting behind snack aisles, and meat that should have been destroyed sitting in public fridges like time bombs, ticking in silence. If the refrigerator's broken, the solution isn't to cross your fingers and keep selling the meat, but that's what happened over and over. A 2024 report from Kansas City's health department revealed that 9 out of 13 Dollar General stores failed temperature and sanitation checks within a single week. And this isn't some rare oversight. This is a pattern so severe, OSHA had to intervene not just for customers, But because the conditions were so unhygienic, they endangered employees' health and safety. Dollar General now holds the infamous title of one of the most fined retail chains in American history, with over $21 million in violations. But the real betrayal lies in what they hide behind the price tags. Take their private label, frozen meats. A Consumer Reports investigation in 2022 discovered that several of these products had less than 40% actual meat. The rest was an unholy stew of textured soy protein, fillers, and stabilizers, packaged to mimic recognizable brands. These weren't marked clearly, either. A retiree squinting under fluorescent lights, choosing between a $3.99 frozen meal and a brand name box, would never know the difference until it's too late. That's not just deceptive, that's a cold-blooded bait and switch. Even worse, the company won't tell you where the food comes from. Dollar General shields its supplier list like a state secret. Multiple whistleblowers have confirmed that expired or borderline frozen goods from third-party liquidators were dropped into stores without any consistent safety checks. In other words, what's in your freezer might be there not because it passed inspection, but because it passed the bargain bin. Why does all of this matter so deeply to older Americans? Because this is who Dollar General is built around. They place stores and food deserts on purpose. They know retirees on fixed incomes, veterans with disabilities, and rural families without cars will have no choice. They're not trying to earn your trust, they're banking on your desperation. But here's the thing, not every rural chain cuts corners this way. Take Food City, a southeastern chain that prints USDA inspection results in store every week, or PCC Community Markets in Washington State, where customers can trace every item, from source to shelf, with a posted safety protocol to back it up. They might not scream low prices in neon, but they whisper something rarer these days: respect. Dollar General didn't save communities, it occupied them, and in doing so, it traded trust for margin, and health for volume, because in their business model, food safety is a detail, not a duty. Number 5, Safeway. Safeway used to be the polished grocery store you felt proud walking into, like pulling into a freshly waxed sedan when all your neighbors drove beaters. It wasn't flashy, but it had just enough shine to feel respectable. The floors gleamed, the shelves were tidy, the ads whispered promises of quality, ingredients for life, they said, as if they were hand-selecting groceries with your grandkids in mind. For older folks who didn't want to risk the dollar store mystery meat or couldn't afford the Whole Foods fairy tale, Safeway seemed like the sweet spot. But beneath the polished tiles and loyalty cards lies a truth so grim it could turn your Sunday roast into a health hazard. Start with the meat counter, where value has taken on a disturbingly literal meaning. In 2023, whistleblowers from stores in Northern California and Arizona reported that managers told staff to rewrap discolored beef and pork as value packs. That's right, expired meat in a shiny new outfit, dressed up to look like a deal. It's the meat department's version of putting lipstick on a corpse. Meanwhile, FDA inspectors documented raw chicken stored between 44 and 49 degrees Fahrenheit in Nevada and Oregon, well beyond the USDA's safe limit of 40. That means dangerous bacteria like E. coli and Listeria weren't just possible, they were practically invited to dinner. And it doesn't stop at the butcher's block. In 2022, multiple Safeway salad bars in Colorado were cited for allowing raw poultry prep right next to ready-to-eat items. No glove changes, no sanitizing, just a hurried wipe and onto the next scoop of macaroni. A former deli employee admitted that during lunch rush. Managers told them to just wipe it down quick to keep lines moving. Picture your potato salad doing a slow dance with raw chicken juice, especially chilling for seniors, whose immune systems can't afford roulette. Then came the frozen food nightmare in early 2024. A nationwide recall hit Safeway's signature Select Frozen Lasagna, the reason undeclared allergens and traces of rodent feces. Yes, rodent droppings. It's the kind of contamination you expect in a horror documentary. Not the frozen aisle. Yet thousands of units were sold before a recall alert made its quiet way onto a few corporate pages, an alert many older shoppers never even saw. And while customers were eating frozen filth, Safeway was spending over $1.7 million lobbying against truth in labeling laws. They fought a bill that would have required transparency about meat origins and antibiotic use. Why? Because their grass-fed beef sometimes comes from foreign feedlots, and their fresh salmon may have been frozen for weeks and dyed pink to look healthy. It's food fraud, plain and simple, but dressed in the language of quality. The real kicker, Safeway's back rooms mirror their ethics cold, chaotic, and dangerous. Multiple West Coast locations have been hit with labor complaints describing unsafe environments, sick workers handling food, and staff cleaning up biohazards with kitchen towels. When workers are burned out and afraid to speak up, do you really think the ham gets sliced with care? Older Americans, in particular, are left in harm's way. They choose Safeway because it's close, familiar, and delivers. But behind that convenience is a minefield of mislabeling, unsafe storage, and policy-driven deception. The brand that once stood for middle-class respectability has quietly become a Trojan horse of hidden risks. If you want an alternative, look to chains like Harmon's Grocery in Utah, where food sourcing is public and safety checks happen twice a day, or the Midwestern Lunds and Byerly's, which still runs like the grocers of old where the butcher knows your name and the rotisserie isn't just a marketing prop. They may not have national ads, but they still have a conscience. Safeway sells a mirror of what grocery shopping used to feel like, but reflection isn't reality, ingredients for life. These days, it's starting to taste more like ingredients for illness. Number 6, Food Lion. Food Lion was never meant to be glamorous, but that was part of its charm. It was the grocery store equivalent of a well-worn pair of jeans, comfortable, familiar, and always there when you needed it. No jazz music in the aisles. No overpriced cheese counters, just pork chops, paper towels, and a feeling that someone had your back. Their slogan, easy, fresh, and affordable. Read like a promise, carved in brick for small towns and southern neighborhoods. For those watching every dollar, especially older folks. Food Lion wasn't just a store. It was part of the routine. So why does that same store now feel like a trap with a price sticker? In 2023, state health inspectors uncovered a troubling pattern across 14 Food Lion stores in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Reports revealed unrefrigerated meats thawing on metal trays, moldy prep counters, and spoiled chicken leaking juices onto frozen vegetables. In Richmond, a meat grinder was being used for pork and beef without a cleaning break in between. These aren't technicalities. They're red flags with a bacteria-laced bow, and this isn't some new corporate stumble, it's déjà vu. Back in 1992, the world watched in horror as ABC's Primetime Live exposed Food Lion employees bleaching old meat, rewrapping expired chicken, and slapping new dates on aging deli meats, instead of changing. The company sued the network, they lost, and while they promised reform, insiders today say the same toxic shortcuts are back, just hidden better. In 2022, a Greensboro employee told regulators that meat destined for disposal was often relabeled to hit shrink goals. One manager even relied on the old sniff test to decide what stayed on shelves. No thermometer, no lab, just a nose. It's like gambling with grandma's dinner. Seafood shoppers aren't safe either. A 2023 DNA study by Oceana found that nearly 4 in 10 packages labeled wild-caught Atlantic cod at Food Lion were actually Pangasius and imported fish raised in antibiotic-saturated tanks. It's not just mislabeling, it's deception that can send someone with food sensitivities straight to the ER, and frozen food. In March 2024, several Food Lion brand beef patties were recalled after customers found plastic shards inside. Turns out, a mixing machine at their supplier malfunctioned, but managers kept selling the product for days after internal warnings, waiting for an official recall notice before pulling it. That decision may have saved a few bucks, but cost a whole lot of trust. None of this would sting so badly if Food Lion weren't strategically rooted in communities with no backup plan. Their stores often sit in grocery deserts, where older shoppers have limited transportation and even fewer options. It's a business model that thrives on isolation, no need to raise standards when customers can't leave. Now stack that against a chain like Heinen's, where each meat product can be traced back to its source by batch number. Or Weiss Markets, which publishes store-by-store inspection scores and takes immediate action on safety concerns. These are companies that treat your body like it matters because it does. Food Lion still says it's affordable and fresh, but what it's actually selling is the illusion of reliability, backed by decades of cover-ups and quiet shortcuts. And for seniors, veterans, and working-class families who've trusted that Lion logo for years, the betrayal cuts deeper than any price markdown. Number 7. Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly may still wear the charm of Southern nostalgia, but its aisles tell a different story, one soaked in spoiled meat and secrecy. In 2023, 11 stores across Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana were cited for serious food safety violations, including rotting turkey legs left out for sale and rat droppings in freezer units. One Jackson employee admitted they were told to leave it out until it stinks, then discount it. That's not homespun hospitality, it's bacteria in a bow tie, because many pig locations are independently franchised. There's no chain-wide food safety standard. Some stores turned off freezers overnight to save power, only to sell semi-thawed frozen meat pies the next day, making retirement grocery trips a literal gamble. Labeling isn't safer. A 2023 North Carolina inspection found 100% beef patties actually contained only 60% meat, padded with fillers and imported from Brazil, while other regional grocers like Hy-Vee or Rouse's implement rigorous controls and transparent sourcing. Piggly Wiggly offers no such net. It may feel like a trustworthy neighbor, but behind the smile may be a 3-day-old steak waiting to make you sick. Behind every freezer door and friendly slogan might be a decision that risks your health. Don't just shop, investigate, because the truth isn't in the price tag, it's in the fine print. Stay alert, ask questions, and protect your plate.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our daily content. Now feel free to check out some of the newest and best videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.